I love Blue Dondogi. She's sweet, she's kind, she likes building things, and builds all of her preventions, especially they get annoying. Wait, what? Wait a second! Hers preventions? Oh no, I forgot about that part. Hers preventions are annoying. And then this time, oh no, another one of hers preventions. But this time, this one is a bad one. Oh no, I'm not gonna like that. Also, Blue Dondogi says, hey guys, in the... Just like that when Blue Dondogi says, hey guys, I have something to show you. That's right, I said, yes, Blue Dondogi. And then Blue Dondogi asked, I have something to show you, and it's really awesome. Wanna see? And then I asked, okay, I'm all ears. What's on your mind? And then Blue Dondogi says, something is really awesome, and I built something today. That's right, I said, what is it? And then Blue Dondogi says, say hello to my flat machine. That's right, I said, whoa. And just like that when I said, whoa, that is amazing. And then Blue Dondogi says, that's right, and it's easy. And then Pink Dondogi says, wow, how did you do that, Blue Dondogi? And then Blue Dondogi says, it's easy, Pink Dondogi. You use one sheet of paper, and then it makes things flat. Want to give it a go? And then Pink Dondogi says, sure, can I use this perfume? That's what I said. Oh no, that's what I said. Wait, Pink Dondogi, that's not a paper. That's my perfume. That's what I said. Uh-oh, and just like that when I said, guys, slow down. You're gonna break the machine. That is not how I meant. And then I asked, guys, slow down. Then I said, guys. And then I said, guys. Then I said, guys. And then they all said, yes. That's what I said, and then Pink Dondogi says, oops, maybe that wasn't a great idea. That's what I said, uh-oh. And then Pink Dondogi says, ah! And then Purple Dondogi says, oops, maybe I don't look that way, but I am kind of cool. And then Pink Dondogi says, oh no, I'm missing my sideways. And then Blue Dondogi says, we all thought about that. I can't believe you broke my machine. I worked so hard on that machine. Now it's going to take me forever for me to fix that machine. Ever again. This is going to take me a while. All my preventions never works. And Anna's right. My preventions never works. That's right, I said, well, in the... Just like that when I said, well, I already told you, Blue Dondogi, and I warned you, all your preventions never works. And then Blue Dondogi says, well, since you're right, but actually, it looks kind of fun. We can actually fly. That's why I said, hey, you're absolutely right. We can actually fly. Actually, this is kind of fun. That's where Pink Dondogi says, yeah, she's right. Then Purple Dondogi asks, guys, something is outside. That's what I said. Yes, that's what I said. Uh-oh. And then I said, ah! And then I said, ah! And then I asked, save that clock! If we lose it, the land will never forgive us. Pink Dondogi asked, help! My body thinks it's a kite. That's what I said. I got you. That's what I said. Blue Dondogi, help! Put us back in. And then Blue Dondogi asked, it's too dangerous for you. Let go of the clock before it drags you outside. That's what I said. But we're all gonna get killed. I can't believe it with you and your machine. Then Blue Dondogi says, put it in. What? And